Here we are, the second episode on the TLR Split Channels action set. In this episode, we're going to use the action set for advanced black and white conversion. So we're going to pick up here where we left off from episode 1. As I mentioned there, if I had to select a single layer as the foundation for my black and white conversion, it would probably be the gray channel. And that's what we have here. But with the split channels technique, we're already thinking about using more than one black and white conversion and blending them together. And so in this case, I think I would want to start off with the cyan channel, and that's because I really like the dark door that results from the cyan channel. I'm not enthusiastic about the dark stripes here at the bottom of the wall, but I like the door a lot. I definitely like the lamps. They have great detail to them, but there are other parts of the image that are going to need some work. The frame around the door and the stone down here on the pavement. So let's start with the stonework, because that's easy to get to. I mentioned before about the black channel. The black channel had the most detail for the stonework. So let's prepare to use the cyan channel as the foundation for our black and white conversion, and then prepare to blend in some information from the black channel. Go up here to Layers, open up the layer group for CMYK channels. Let's grab the layer for the cyan channel, and let's pull it down and drop it right over top of our background layer. In order to be able to see its effect, we need to delete the layer mask here, the hide all layer mask, and that's our foundation. Happy with the lights, happy with the door, not happy with this little ring up here, the upper left corner of the door, not happy with the pavement, definitely not enthusiastic about the dark stripe at the base of the wall, and even the frame to the door could use a little more detail. So let's start with the pavement, see if we can get some more detail into those stones. I drag the black channel down, sat it over top of the cyan channel. Now I want to click the layer mask, make that active. I'm going to use the brush tool. White is the foreground, and I recommend using an opacity of something like 30 or 35% so that you can build up the effect over successive strokes. I need to change my brush size here. That's easy to do on the fly, just use the square brackets. And so with even a single stroke, we will find that we can get improved detail here. Same thing with the wood, just a single stroke is all we need. Go ahead and make the brush a little smaller. So we've added one stroke to the stones, one stroke to the wood. Let's add a second stroke. And that's already a big improvement to the image, just by taking information from the black channel. Now for this dark stripe on the wall, we have some other candidates. One possibility, for example, is the magenta channel. That would lighten the stripe. There's still some detail here from scuff marks on the wall that we could introduce into there. If we go with something like the yellow channel, it will lighten the stripe considerably, but those scuff marks will be even more pronounced. You've got 9 other channels to select from. I'm going to go ahead, use the magenta channel. And so I'm just going to go up here, grab the magenta layer, and I'm going to drag that down and place that over top of the layer for the black channel. Again, need to activate the layer mask. I want to be painting on the layer mask with the brush tool. White is my foreground color. Still got 30% opacity. And now I'm going to go ahead and increase this brush size again a little bit so I can get through this relatively quickly. I usually start by outlining. I'm just going to rough this in. This is not going to be perfect. Just want to be able to show you the effect. Go over here, do the same thing. Now one other feature in the magenta image that I liked was this little dark ring up here in the magenta channel than it does in our cyan channel. So I'm going to make the zoom temporarily 100% so I can see better what I'm working at here. Definitely want to reduce the size of the brush. That brush is too large for this tiny little ring. And now I can brush in detail from the magenta channel here. Rather than play around with something like 30%, I'm going to go for broke, pull this up to 100%. And as I make the loop around this little ring, it will stand out with more detail. Go back to 33%, and if I was uncertain of the overall effect, I could simply just toggle the layer on or off, and again we can see what a big visual improvement we've made. One other area that I want to try to improve here is the detail on the masonry and the frame of this door. So let's go back to our channels. We've had very good luck so far with the CMYK channels. Sometimes you'll find that you want to use the RGB channels. You have 10 channels to choose from. In this case, we started off with the black channel, so that leaves us 9 other channels to select from. But let's take a look at the yellow channel, because I knew previously there was a lot of detail here. I don't like the effect down here on the stones on the pavement. Detail's obliterated down there. But I do like how it adds some texture and some detail to the masonry. So we go back to the layers palette. We grab the yellow channels layer, place that over top of the magenta channel layer. Again, make certain that we have the layer mask activated. I'm not going to live so dangerously this time. I'm going to go ahead, pull this down to something more like, let's say 35%. And I just want to add some detail here. Need to increase the size of my brush, as you can see. And I'm just going to brush in some additional detail here. From my perspective, that's a little over the top. I could wait until I got done and adjust the opacity for the layer, but I'm just going to go ahead, press Ctrl Z, make that stroke go away, And I'm going to go up here and reduce my opacity down to something more like about 15%. I like that better. I'm adding some detail without it being totally over the top with the effect. I had also noticed with the yellow that the ring also got a little additional detail from it. It didn't bother me to go ahead and brush over that again an extra time. And there you have it. We have a nice fine art black and white conversion. We used the 4 CMYK channels, selecting different features from each to emphasize in our final black and white image. In order to reduce the file size, you could go ahead and simply delete out the layers that you don't need anymore. And if you wanted to save even more space, that would be easy enough to do as well. You could go over to the Channels panel and remove the extra channels. I hope the split channels technique and the TLR Split Channels action set improves your digital photography. I'm Glenn Mitchell from thelightsright.com. Cheers.